around the budget, accountability, and the fact that this could turn out just to be a smokescreen for the government stroke ANC to use this national dialogue as a campaign to restore some support for the 2026 local government election. So we haven't withdrawn. We are sending 2 of our senior members of parliament to go there this weekend with a watching and listening brief.
The medical charity MSF says Sudan is experiencing the worst cholera outbreak the country has seen in years, killing more than 2,400 people. The organization says there have been more than 100,000 cases over the past year, fueled by the civil war. The BBC's Barbara Plitt-Asher reports.
Cholera is a disease caused by polluted water. It has festered in Sudan's conflict areas where water infrastructure has been destroyed and in camps for displaced people. The epicenter of the outbreak right now is Tawila in North Darfur State. Hundreds of thousands of people recently fled there to escape the fighting in the nearby city of El Fasher. Aid workers who've set up clinics in Tawila told the BBC that the camps do not have enough latrines and clean water, that people are forced to drink from contaminated sources. The disease compounds the humanitarian crisis caused by the civil war, with scarce food supplies and a healthcare system on the point of collapse.
The ad hoc committee looking into allegations of corruption within the South African Police Service made by the KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner initially battled with the format of today's meeting and was forced to take a brief adjournment. Political parties are meant to give input and adopt the terms of reference for the committee's work, but for the first hour of the meeting, MPs could not agree on how exactly it should be conducted. Abra Barbia has the details.
Parliament's legal team is presenting the draft terms of reference it has drawn up for the committee, established to investigate wide-ranging allegations of threats to national security made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. These terms of reference are necessary for MPs to understand the scope of their work, but there has been some disagreement among parties about how exactly the committee should go about its work today.
Nigeria's Director General of the National Agency for Food and Drugs Administration and Control, Professor Mojisola Adeye, has revealed plans to start the local production of vaccines for the country. Adeye says there's a need to do the same for the rest of the African continent. Addressing journalists in Abuja, Professor Adeye says the move was made possible following an approval by the World Health Organization at a meeting in Nigeria. Collins Nosa Atonghegbe reports.
Professor Mojisola Adeye says the move is to help ensure that Africa gets the necessary supply of relevant vaccines to meet its needs so as to avoid instances of inadequate and delayed supply of vaccines at critical moments as was experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic. She said Nigeria's quest, which began a few years back, was made possible after the country passed the required majority level 3 set by the World Health Organization before any nation or group may be given approval to go into standardized pharmaceutical medicines and vaccine manufacturing.
The U.S. State Department has announced that it has taken steps to impose visa restrictions on African, Cuban, Brazilian, Grenadian and Grenadian government officials and their families for what it described as their complicity in Cuba's overseas medical missions. Sharon Bryce-Pease has the details.
The State Department says it's targeting officials who were responsible for Cuban medical mission programs that it argued included elements of forced labor and the exploitation of Cuban workers. In a statement, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the steps were being taken to promote accountability for those who support and perpetuate what it views as exploitative practices, arguing that the scheme enriches the Cuban regime and deprived everyday Cubans of essential medical care that they desperately need in their homeland.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
6 minutes into 1 p.m. Central African time. Well, here we are. The Thursday is upon us, Thursday afternoon. Gee, I feel like the hours ran very quickly between, 5 a.m. this morning, and now it's already 1 p.m. in Central African time, or just after 1 p.m. We're 6 minutes in. Thank you very much for being here for the upside until 4 p.m. in Central African time. My name is Mmatsheko Mosito, with you until 4 p.m. I'm running the show solo today because our good friend Tebogo Lekhuleni will be back with us very, very soon. Otherwise, it's always a pleasure to bring the show to wherever you are. Thank you very much to Lulu Kabu and the team. They will be back again with you tomorrow on Channel Africa, same time, same place, as it were. All right, but you can obviously catch up on today's edition of the show on our social media platforms. You can go on YouTube and audio and visually see the show, and you can also go on Facebook should you wish to catch up there. Otherwise, today's edition, it being a Thursday and all, so exciting to be looking at some big conversations and fit in some artistry in there as well. We're going to begin by talking about breaking barriers for women with disabilities, using South Africa as an example. Of course, we're still acknowledging themes around Women's Month, and since it's still August in South Africa, and we're going to be just looking and tracing some stories of trailblazers, I beg your pardon, people in leadership as well as entrepreneurs, and we're going to talk about how they are kind of, filling these gaps. How are they looking at fighting injustices, if you will, for women living with disabilities? We're also going to be speaking to Lungi Mkhwani, who wakes up every day. She applies for the jobs. She holds up a public relations publication. She's smart. She's got all the makings of it, but she's still just not able to close the gaps. She's not able to find work. She's just not able to be economically and socially functional. So what is the issue? We're going to be looking at some of those issues. We're also going to be speaking to psychologists as we try and break the barriers for women with disabilities. In the golden hour, we are going to be continuing with just big conversations, but also looking at art. Okay, so from scrap to sculpture, the vision of Peter Ntuli and Willie Bester in a Junkyard Dogs. So I don't know if you've heard, but the Melrose Gallery, which is found here in South Africa, in Johannesburg to be exact, are presenting what they call Junkyard Dogs, which is an exhibition that unites two of South Africa's most respected artists, okay, Peter Ntuli and Willie Bester, and we're going to find out more about it. As we get into the grand finale, very excited to be looking at LSJ Designs. We're talking fashion here, okay? At the intersection of high fashion, that's what we're going to be talking about, as well as heritage and modern expression. So a big, beautiful trio as we look at, how heritage, modernity or modern expression, as well as fashion, and how they all meet in this wonderful concoction, if I could call it that. So that's just some of the stuff you can look forward to. Of course, we've got the regular What Caught Your Eye and all the wonderful stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're 10 minutes in.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
Ethiopia's planned Bishoftu International Airport, its scale, its timelines, and its potential to position the country as Africa's aviation leader. What will this mega project mean for Ethiopia's investment climate, job creation, and tourism? And how will it shape regional and global connectivity?
Ethiopian Airlines is by far the largest airline in Africa and amongst the 30 largest in the world. Ethiopian Airlines owns the airports in this country. So, you just need to put that in context. Last week, they announced the results. They had transported 19 million passengers, something like $7.6 billion in revenue, which places them amongst the three most profitable airlines in the Middle East Africa region after Emirates and Qatar Airways. In fact, except for Ethiopian Airlines, virtually no state-owned airline in Africa today makes money. Many African governments make it difficult for airlines to operate efficiently and profitably. That includes South Africa, by the way.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga miyoyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhudzidwa funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, okhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhudzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
17 minutes into 1 p.m. Central African Time, coming through with Justin Vibes with a song titled Uzozisola. Thank you for listening. This is The Upside with Mmatsheko Mosito until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. Big, robust conversation. Okay, maybe not robust, but it's big and important conversations, and we would like for you to get involved. So anything you'd like to say, anything you'd like to contribute, you're welcome to do so on our social media platforms, regardless of which one you're on. Just search for Channel Africa. You will be able to locate us there with the hashtag The Upside, particularly if you're going to be on X. Okay, so we continue to acknowledge themes around Women's Month. Only this time around, we are looking at breaking barriers for women who are living with disabilities. All right. And that's the conversation we're going to be getting into in a short while. And I would like for us to break it into two segments. I'd like us to look at it from a perspective of, organizations that are doing something about women living with disabilities and what can be done, what can be offered, how we can move society forward and be more inclusive, and also the perspective of a psychological expert when it comes to this. So that is this hour. But before we get into conversation, a quick note: the SABC is pleased to announce the launch of the new self-registration platform. Vendors wishing to do business with the South African Broadcast Corporation can self-register on our internally developed platform. Just go to etender.co.za and follow the prompts from there. Visit SABC social media pages for more information and details.
Vue d'Afrique avec Joël Mouteba. Cette peur d'un point de non-retour nucléaire suffit-elle selon vous à légitimer une telle offensive, Monsieur Taladi?
Absolument pas du tout. Cela fait plus de 30 ans que l'Israël crie haut et fort sur les toits, où il veut se faire entendre que l'Iran serait à 1 an pour obtenir l'arme nucléaire. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 6 mois. Parfois, l'Iran serait à 2 semaines pour obtenir son arme nucléaire. Et curieusement, jusqu'à ce jour, il n'y a toujours aucune preuve que l'Iran a obtenu cette arme nucléaire en dépit des déclarations d'Israël et de certaines puissances parfois.
Vue d'Afrique, du lundi au vendredi de 15h à 16h, temps universel.
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Welcome to The Upside. If you've just started listening, we are broadcasting live across the African region via satellite. Okay, it's channel PAS10 in Southern Africa on the DSTV audio bouquet channel 802. Otherwise, traditionally, World Wide Web, channelafrica.co.za. Okay, so as we celebrate Women's Month in South Africa, it's still August. Many inspiring stories are being shared, but too often we don't really get to hear the voices of women with disabilities who are often left out of the conversation. So these women face not just physical challenges, but also the deep barriers of stigma and exclusion, as I'd mentioned, So we're going to talk to that. We're going to speak to that. We're joined on the line by Lana Roy in her capacity as the program lead of 360 Disability Inclusion at Africa to Kun, to talk to us about the realities these women are facing and how we can start changing the narrative. Lana, welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you for having me. What a pleasure it is to be with you today on this program.
Wonderful. I think perhaps before we get into speaking about challenges, I really want to take this conversation as we begin is some of the unique challenges that we've seen today. But before we do, talk to us about 360 Disability Inclusion and how that fits into the work of Africa to Kun as an NGO.
Okay, super. So Africa to Kun is a cradle-to-career organization that has 5 centers across the country, 4 of them mostly in Gauteng and 1 of them in Lekhuleni in Cape Town. Each of them have about 5,000 recipients or beneficiaries that go to the center on a daily basis, right through from ECD to skills development and training. And part of the group of people that we work with we try and make sure we have a 5% inclusion rate for people with disability. So we cater for, or we work with at least 1,200 young people with disabilities. And our whole vision is to mainstream them into society and to also get the other children and the other the youth, to see them as no different to anyone else, so that they can participate, that they can be part of everyday life. Because I think that's what we've got to teach. We've got to teach that it doesn't matter what your difference is, how are you different, if you've got an ability or disability, that you are part and parcel of human life and part and parcel of every day. So this, our program also, the 360 is what we call our social support services. So we support them in terms of their disability. So we help them with reasonable accommodation. We help them with support with medical or health issues. We help them with social problems. We help them with, anything that's facing them in terms of grant access. And we also, run support groups for the mothers with children with disabilities. So that's probably just a short background of Africa Tikkun social or 360 program that we work with these young people to drive inclusion.
Right. Very important, and you're covering so many significant fears within the space of disability as you try and achieve inclusivity. But why is it that you think we are still overlooking and not really including them? I think also just to highlight the fact that we are still observing the National Women's Month, as it were, and still women with disabilities are overlooked during this time when there is sort of a national interest and light being shone on all kinds of challenges that women face, regardless of whether they are living with a disability or not. Why do you think that it's not a big part of the conversation at the moment?
So I think people speak about it. I just think we are not aware of what actually is happening in terms of the communities that these young people are coming from. So let me give you an example which always talks to a story. I think I was maybe 2-3 months into the Africa Tikkun program when we had a young girl who was part of our learnership programs. So just so you understand, learnerships are paid for by external organizations. And believe it or not, 98% of the requests for learnerships are for people with disability. So that's another conversation around our tick box exercises. And she came and she said to me, Lana, do you know what it's she was on crutches and sometimes had to be in a wheelchair. She said, do you know what it takes for me to get to Africa Tikkun's, let's say, offices or training center? Probably an extra 3 hours in the morning, because when I wake up, I've got to try and get dressed. I have to then, it takes me an extra hour to walk from my home to the to the taxi rank. If I'm in a wheelchair, I have to pay double the amount of money in the taxi because my wheelchair takes up extra space. And I just thought, this is where the problem is that it's not just that they arrive and they're here and we see them. It's that they have a backstory. And I think it's that backstory that has limited these young people from entering the workforce, or that are not being seen because maybe they feel they are a burden to society. They've already been told that in their own communities. And that they, have those extra reasonable accommodation type of requirements that they need in order to be able to be part of the workforce or be seen as part of a community or part of a school. So I think, that could be one of the reasons. There are many more, from cultural, to, a very interesting story as well. Please butt in at any time.
Yes. Okay.
If you want to ask a question.
I'm going to butt in. And, I'd made sort of an example, through Lungi Mkhwani's story about how, she's qualified, she's in public relations, well-spoken, just a vibrant young woman, and she's still just not able to get or break into the workspace, which is sadly and unfortunate that it's not a unique story. There are so many systematic challenges that are stopping, or rather that are preventing the cycle of inclusion, as it were. But let's talk about the successes very quickly, Lana. We don't have much time. I want to talk about any successes through Africa to Kun that show what is possible when inclusion is done and it's done right.
Okay, 100%. So Lungi is a perfect story. That here she is. She's gone through PR training. She's done a lot. And why isn't she being hired?
Yeah.
But, for example, I put it out there, and it's possibility that she will be getting a PR job in the next few months that we can make sure.
Yes.
But the thing is, is it me personally who's going out there and looking at my contacts? Why aren't people hiring them? But we've got some really, really good stories out there that really show that there are organizations who are willing to really engage. A company that takes about 100 young people with disabilities is a company called Lesco, and then they hire them. They employ them afterwards as part of their assembly line. So we have many good stories, but unfortunately we have many negative stories where we'll send a whole bunch to a bank and they do their learnership, and then the next thing they don't get absorbed, and the hope that these young people have, and they get let down. And I guess that's why we're also hosting this valuable 500 event to work with companies to say, corporates, come. Let's talk. Let's understand, why are you not hiring them? What is the reasoning? Why are they scaring you? Is it reasonable accommodation? Is it just sensitization, awareness training? And come on board, and with with government as well. It has to be an ecosystem. And I think that's also, we work very silo in the disability industry. And we really, as organizations in disability, we have to come together and say, how do we solve this collectively instead of trying to solve this individually? Because we can see that's not working.
Absolutely not. We can never, just the philosophy is that we can only grow in community. We can grow and heal and learn through community, because at the end of the day, we come from villages, ancestrally, right. That is. Lana, thank you so much. It's just unfortunate we have run out of time, but all the best with 360. And I guess for those that want information, we can just simply go on Africa to Kun. Correct?
Tikkun.org. Yeah, Africa Tikkun. It's TIKKUN.org. O-R-G. Yeah.
All right.
And it's Africa. It's Africa with a K. So
that's correct.
A-F-R-I-K-A. Yeah.
Africa with a K.
Africa. Mmatsheko, thank you so much for having me and letting us speak about this such important topic. And please God, we keep speaking about it.
Absolutely. It's definitely not going to be the first and the last. Lana Roy joining us in her capacity as Program Lead of 360 Disability Inclusion at Africa to Kun. And we're really just talking about the realities of women who are living with disabilities, using South Africa as an example. 1:31, Neto Chamane standing by with the latest sports. What's happening?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko, from the Sports Desk. A very good afternoon. Starting off with tennis news. Tennis South Africa TSA President Gavin Crooks has confirmed to SABC Sport that he will meet the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, to discuss pressing issues affecting the sport. Crooks said it is the first time in his presidency that a minister has personally requested to meet with him and the Federation. He welcomed the opportunity for dialogue and expressed optimism that the talks would deliver positive results.
I'm pleased to say that the Minister of Sport and Rec has invited me to meet with him this coming Thursday. in the 14 years, 12 years that I've been president, who's ever invited me to a meeting with him. So I'm positive that there is hope.
In football news, Manchester United will face League Two side Grimsby Town in the second round of the Carabao Cup. Plus, there are 2 all Premier League ties. AFC Bournemouth will host Brentford, while Wolves will play West Ham, when the all 11 Premier League clubs not participating in a European competition enter the Carabao Cup in the second round. Promoted Leeds face a trip to either Bolton or Sheffield, and Everton will host League One Mansfield. League One's Doncaster's reward their 4-0 drubbing of Middlesbrough is a trip to Accrington, while Bromley host League One Wycombe after dumping Ipswich, who spent last season in the Premier League out on penalties. TS Galaxy coach Adnan Beganovic admits it feels like a deja vu after his side slumped to a third successive defeat in the 2025-2026 Betway Premiership campaign. The Rockets were edged 1-0 by Sekhukhune United in a Betway Premiership clash on Wednesday night, the second time Babina Noko have been beaten this season, having also knocked Galaxy out of the MTN 8 just 2 weeks ago. Coming into the match at Peter Mokaba Stadium, Galaxy were already under pressure following a 2-0 league defeat to Durban City last weekend. Beganovic is confident of a quick turnaround.
Maybe it's if you look, yes, 2 games, 0 points, but I hope so. We start win games, we start collect points, because obviously we have quality. We show that if we don't play good, if we don't play well, trust me, I say, because I'm honest, I say we can't do anything, but today we deserve more as a lose game.
Beganovic adds that the FIFA ban imposed on Galaxy should have long been lifted after the club paid monies owed, a scenario that will lift their spirits.
Probably, I hope so every day, because we sort everything before, I think, 10 days, and then just FIFA need to do to remove that ban, because we pay already before 10 days. I don't know what's happening in FIFA, and then obviously immediately we have an opportunity to register all players, and then could be much better for us.
And finally, in rugby news, Argentina have grown more competitive in the Rugby Championship in recent years, with key players back. They are set to open this year's campaign at home against New Zealand on Saturday with renewed confidence. Argentina won 6 matches in their first 10 seasons competing in the Southern Hemisphere Championship, but have claimed as many victories again in the last 3 years alone. That includes their best ever campaign in 2024, when they won in New Zealand for the first time, beating the world champion Springboks, and claimed a record 67-27 victory over Australia. For any sports stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I'm Neto and ETO Chemani. More sports news in the next hour.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Mabusiness osiyana-siyana mdziko la South Africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la United States of America. Ndipo panotele ndikatswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la Malawi Dr. Betha Chikadza. Boma la South Africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati America akani kutsitsa msonkho, bomalo lipeza misika ina. Mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka South Africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku msika ya ku America.
Tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo, chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izizi nzokuti inali msika wa dziko la America noni msika wakukhazikika umene dziko la South Africa linali likazolowera kale. Tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la South Africa lipezanso msika mwina mwansangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake, mwina zisizingachitike pacho kuti tikunena papa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri ndithu.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
1:36 on the digital clock, still in the first hour of the Upside. We take a quick turn to the business desk with Nosipho Zuma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, some of the young South African women attending the P20 Women's Parliament have expressed concerns about the continuing decline of females in employment opportunities and economic participation. The theme for this year's event is Accelerating Equality, Sustainability and Shared Growth. Group Executive for Corporate Affairs and Sustainability at Bushveld Minerals, Sibuma Josie, says this is a burden facing young women.
There's a disproportionate burden on young women from an unemployment and economic participation perspective. Young women are particularly vulnerable with NEET rates at 48.1% for young women. Those that are wondering what NEET is, it's not in education, employment or training compared to 42.2% of men. So it really is a disproportionate burden on young women.
The youngest Director General of Civil Aviation in the world and on the African continent from Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority, Mosito Bari, has hailed the ICAO Next Generation of Aviation Professionals Global Summit currently underway in Durban, South Africa. She says it is a fantastic opportunity and in particular to show young people that they too can hold the high-powered positions in the industry.
Africa has all the potential, my sister. We have young professionals, we have a passion, we have a location that makes us the center of the world, not only for connecting people by air transport, but for trade. So Africa needs to be intentional about our role in the sector.
The Congolese mining company sanctioned by the United States this week says it rejects allegations linking it to armed groups and mineral smuggling in turbulent Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions against the Congolese cooperative over what it calls the illicit sale of critical minerals smuggled from the mineral-rich region of Rubaya. The U.S. also sanctioned Congolese armed group allied with Congo's military, which Washington said control mining sites in Rubaya from 2022 to 2024 and two Hong Kong-based exporters. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu set a target of 7% annual economic growth by 2027, aiming to lift millions out of poverty and expand the economy to 4 times its current size by 2030. Now, since coming into office in 2023, Tinubu has ended petrol and electricity subsidies and twice devalued the naira currency to boost Nigeria's decade-long sluggish output. And finally, WhatsApp says Russia is trying to block its services because the social media messaging app owned by Meta Platforms offered people right to secure communication and vowed to continue trying to make encrypted services available in Russia. Russia has started restricting some Telegram and WhatsApp calls, accusing the foreign-owned platform of failing to share information with law enforcement in fraud and terrorism cases. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 533. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 47, and in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 07. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real at 40. Russia is 79 rubles 52. Russia is 87 rupees 51. China at 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 53. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,347 and platinum at $1,341 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $65.89 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Mosito Suma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel África. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel África quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel África está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
All right, here we are just before 2 p.m. It's 1:43 to be exact, and we're still giving focus to breaking barriers for women living with disabilities. We've been using South Africa as an example in our conversation with Lana from Africa to Kun. They're running just such a wonderful initiative through the NGO that is looking at, themes around inclusivity. They call it 360 disability inclusion at Africa to Kun, as I'd mentioned. So should you wish to check it out, please go to Africa to Kun, and their website is africatokun.org for more info. We continue on and look at matters to do with psychology when it comes to this. So we know that being overlooked isn't just a missed opportunity for anybody, but I think particularly for people living with disabilities, it can become a constant psychological weight. The rejection isn't just loud, but it also impacts, deeply. It runs really deeply. It affects confidence. It affects one's identity. Your mental health is compromised. So today, as we continue, we're going to be speaking to Mmatsheko Nyamande in her capacity as psychological trauma specialist and director at Insight Wellbeing to help us unpack the hidden emotional toll of exclusion and how we can better support mental well-being in the realm of disability and disability in community that is. Mmatsheko, welcome to Channel Africa. Thanks for the time.
Hello, good afternoon.
Greetings. We can hear each other. Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's breaking slightly, but I'm sure you can move around as I ask the question, Mmatsheko. I want us to begin by looking at some of the lesser known psychological effects of constant exclusion particularly for people living with disabilities.
Oh, right. Just being disabled or looking different to everybody else creates even an internalized state of stigma. So whilst there is stigma of people looking at you and discriminating against you, there are also internal stigmas that we apply on ourselves. So especially if you're disabled, you may start to look at yourself in a certain way. You may start to look at yourself as not good enough, simply because you're not physically able to do something. But you may be the best person at other things. So some of those things that you're good at, you tend not to look at them. You focus on the things that you are not good at, or the things that you're limited by your disability.
Right.
There's then an element of identity where you question yourself to say, who am I? Why am I the way I am? And that sense of identity can affect a lot of things in what opportunities you go for in life, what kind of things that you're able to actually achieve despite your disability. So regardless of what disability you might have, it doesn't necessarily define you, because there are plenty other things that you may be able to do better than even those who are fully able-bodied. So those are the key elements that we look at when we look at disability.
Mm-hmm. As you're speaking, Mmatsheko, it just sounds to me like sometimes the emotional toll can outweigh, the physical aspects of disability, which is really, really concerning. So I really wanted to approach this conversation with you also with inclusion of community, because it doesn't matter whether you're living with a disability or not. We really all need one another. We need to borrow knowledge and skills and whatever else we can. Emotional support, very important, from one another. So let's talk about the role of friends and family and colleagues. How can we better recognize the signs of mental strain in someone facing ongoing exclusion?
So alongside the things that I've already mentioned, the stigma and skewed sense of identity, that actually causes a lot of stress in the person who's got a disability, stress and worry. And the people around you or around us usually are the people who either they enable this helplessness that you might have. So the fact that you've got a disability doesn't mean you can't do everything and anything. But the people around you, they overly sympathize, and instead of allowing you to do certain things that you're even able to do, they actually further the disability by not allowing you to do anything. So even when you're able to do certain things, you're then not given the opportunity to practice, to exercise what you're able to do. So families are the biggest enabler of some of these stigmas that we end up with. So as family, we need to look at the people we live with and say, okay, they might be disabled, but what can they do? And if they can't do certain things that they need to do, can we look at a situation where perhaps we can support them to do those things? Okay? So not being able to do anything doesn't give you a life sentence of inability. But if you're supported, if you're given the opportunity to practice those things, you will actually find you can actually excel at some of those things. So family are the biggest people who can identify those things for us and look at how we can be supported to be able to function better.
All right. Family, friends, colleagues, community as a pillar of strength, to form part of really being supportive to people who are living with disabilities. Of course, the focus has been on women, but I think it really doesn't matter who you are. If you're listening from anywhere on the continent, you may benefit from this conversation. Mmatsheko Nyamande still on the line with me in his capacity as a psychological trauma specialist and the director at Insight Wellbeing. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Mabizinesi osiyana-siyana mdziko la South Africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la United States of America. Ndipo tili ndi katswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la Malawi, Dr. Bertha Chikadza. Boma la South Africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati America akani kutsitsa msonkho, bomalo lipeza misika ina. Mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka South Africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku msika ya ku America.
Tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izizi nzokuti inali msika wa dziko la America noni msika wakukhazikika umene dziko la South Africa linali likazolowera kale. Tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la South Africa lipezanso msika mwina mwasangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake mwina zisizingachitike pacho kuti tikunena apa pa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri ndithu.
zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Thank you very much for staying with us. We're still speaking about, I think, particularly not just the psychology, but also how we can better understand inclusion, because we're all in this together. I think that's what I'm learning as the conversation with Mmatsheko Nyamande is unfolding. He is our psychological expert as we unpack matters to do with living with disabilities and how that affects the mind and the emotions. Mmatsheko, let's talk about, this term exclusion, can be such a broad term. And I really love how you helped kind of contextualize it in the beginning of the conversation by really talking about how somebody who is living with a disability may start that conversation and that dialogue of exclusion within their own being, within their own mind, within their own emotion, And I guess as I was listening to you, I started to think about, do we actually have true empathy? Do we understand that before we say anything to somebody or treat them in a certain way, they have already sort of put themselves in a certain box because they don't want to be burdensome. They don't want to, speak. It's difficult for them to speak for themselves. So let's talk about the power of the mind then when it comes to a person who's living with a disability. How can I cultivate more inclusion within myself inwardly before I can, kind of seek it externally in the workplace, in society, etc.?
Okay, so you've talked on a very critical element of how people with disabilities are excluded in a lot of situations. But if we especially focus on women, women with disabilities,
yes,
you find that the society has given women a role of the carer, the person who's supposed to be providing care. Okay? So if you're the one who's disabled and yet you're supposed to be the one who provides care, that actually comes with a lot of distress within yourself to say, well, I'm actually the person who's supposed to be cooking for my family. I'm supposed to be the person washing the dishes, doing the laundry, and all these things, but I'm not able to do that. So within that person, they start to look at themselves as not good enough. That's one of the biggest issues that comes in with disability, being in a space of feeling I'm not good enough. I'm not fully formed as a human being. And that comes with an internal element of loss as well. You feel a certain aspect of loss in terms of what is it that I would have been able to do had I not been disabled? But like I said earlier on, we then don't look at what is it that I can actually do. As human beings, we've got this aspect of focusing more on negativity than focusing on the positive, the optimistic elements of things that we are able to do. Usually it's because we tend to overlook things that are good and we criticize the things that are bad or not considered normal within our societies. So because of that, we then start to see ourselves as bad because we are not the normal that society sees us, is supposed to see us as. So because of that, that then overlooks other strengths that we have. We could be great at maths. Your maths doesn't need you to have a full arm or leg, but because you're not focusing on that, you could be a great artist. You could be a great somebody. Look at Steve Hawking, for example. He's a great physician. He's able to do whatever he's able to do from a wheelchair. He was able to do that.
Right.
But because of how society looks at disabled people, it tends not to elicit, to draw out those kind of strengths in disabled people, because they have a lot more than a missing arm or a missing leg or whatever it is that might be missing on them.
Yes, Mertha.
In this day and age as well.
If I may just interject, we are running out of time and I need to really just squeeze in this very, very important question. And please try and keep the response brief. But my concern is also just access to mental health, because now I think we've started something, as we're speaking about really cultivating inclusion within self first. But if I don't have the tools, if I don't have, just access to mental health, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that by myself. So let's talk about access to mental wellness tools. Perhaps there's something happening at Insight Wellbeing that you can share with us if we're looking to help somebody who's living with a disability, or perhaps I'm a woman living with a disability and need the psychological assistance.
Absolutely. So this is where I was going into to talk about more the psychosocial disabilities. These are people who do not have a physical disability, but they've got maybe a mental or psychological disability. Okay, in the sense that they're not able to manage certain physical psychological situations. So we need to read not just looking at someone who looks whole and assume that they are okay, because those psychosocial disabilities can then get in the way and affect their confidence, their self-esteem. So for us at Insight Wellbeing, what we focus on essentially is to help the person first be at peace with who they are, regardless of color, creed, ability, any issues that might be going on in your life. It's about you connecting with yourself before you're able to connect with somebody else. And this comes in the form of what we call mindfulness practices. Simple, deep breathing.
It's just so unfortunate.
Breathing can help you become grounded.
Mertha, unfortunately, we have run out of time, but I guess for anyone that's looking for some tools and just some information for access to mental wellness, because this forms part of really getting help for any disability, intellectual, physical disability, emotional disability, whatever the case is. Insight Wellbeing, if you just Google the term, you should be able to get details there. Mertha Nyamande joining us as director at Insight Wellbeing. It's just unfortunate we have run out of time. It's 2 p.m. in Central African time. We cross to the news desk. Jolani Tulo Mwebe has the latest for us.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Our top stories are Sawa, another withdrawal from South Africa's upcoming national dialogue, and Sudan experiences a cholera outbreak. Good afternoon. The Action SA party in South Africa has joined the list of entities withdrawing from the upcoming national dialogue due to concerns on the logistics of hosting it. The party's parliamentary leader, Ethel Trollop, says they will send 2 MPs for observation. Trollop outlines Action SA's concerns.
That it appears that the presidency is taking over this process and that it now appears to be government-led. And we're very concerned about issues around the budget, accountability, and the fact that this could turn out just to be a smokescreen for the government stroke ANC to use this national dialogue as a campaign to restore some support for the 2026 local government election. So we haven't withdrawn. We are sending 2 of our senior members of parliament to go there this weekend with a watching and listening brief.
The medical charity MSF says Sudan is experiencing the worst cholera outbreak the country has seen in years, killing more than 2,400 people. The organization says there have been more than 100,000 cases over the past year, fueled by the civil war. The BBC's Barbara Plitt-Asher reports.
Cholera is a disease caused by polluted water. It has festered in Sudan's conflict areas where water infrastructure has been destroyed and in camps for displaced people. The epicenter of the outbreak right now is Tawila in North Darfur State. Hundreds of thousands of people recently fled there to escape the fighting in the nearby city of El Fasher. Aid workers who've set up clinics in Tawila told the BBC that the camps do not have enough latrines and clean water, that people are forced to drink from contaminated sources. The disease compounds the humanitarian crisis caused by the civil war, with scarce food supplies and a healthcare system on the point of collapse.
South Africa's Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has strongly condemned the killing of an e-hailing driver in an arson attack at Maponya Mall in Soweto last night. Two e-hailing vehicles were set alight by unknown suspects in what is suspected to be a taxi violence-related incident. Residents have blocked off a road preventing access to and from the mall. National Transport Department spokesperson Colin Msibi.
Transport Minister Barbara Creecy and the Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa strongly condemns the acts of violence and criminality that resulted in the tragic death of an e-hailing driver at Maponya Mall, Soweto on Wednesday. They also expressed their message of condolences to the bereaved family who lost their loved one, further indicating that such criminal behavior has no place in the public transport sector and that those responsible must face the full might of the law.
The ad hoc committee looking into allegations of corruption within the South African Police Service made by KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner initially battled with the format of today's meeting and was forced to take a brief adjournment. Political parties are meant to give input and adopt the terms of reference for the committee's work, but for the first hour of the meeting, MPs could not agree on exactly how it should be conducted. Abra Barbia reports.
Parliament's legal team is presenting the draft terms of reference it has drawn up for the committee, established to investigate wide-ranging allegations of threats to national security made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. These terms of reference are necessary for MPs to understand the scope of their work. But there has been some disagreement among parties about how exactly the committee should go about its work today.
And finally, India's Supreme Court will today review its order to round up Delhi's stray dogs after a huge public outcry. Its directive on Monday had ordered the animals to be placed in shelters after a rise in bite incidents. Activists, celebrities and some politicians objected, saying the mass relocation was cruel and unworkable. Gidesh Hishimani runs an anti-cruelty charity for dogs.
There are no shelters that can handle thousands of street dogs of Delhi, let alone Delhi NCR. In my opinion, the solution that was required was a scientific and a precise solution for a very specific problem, the problem of aggressive or biting dogs. Instead, it has become a sweeping incarceration of all dogs. I mean, we don't get rid of all men because a few are rapists.
Recapping the top story this hour, the Action SA party in South Africa has joined the list of entities withdrawing from the upcoming national dialogue due to concerns on the logistics of hosting it. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Cholani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
A good 6 minutes into 2 p.m. in Central African time. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just started listening, a pleasure to have you tune in. We are exclusively live on Channel Africa. You can now audio-visually consume our content, okay? every single day between 1 and 4. In fact, all day. But if you really want to check out the best on the upside, we on between 1 and 4 p.m. in Central African time. And you can watch the show, watch and listen on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Okay, that's our long form platforms. Otherwise, if you just want the audio space, it is channelafrica.co.za and also available on satellite. So I am extremely excited, trying to contain my excitement, because we are going to be talking about art, about sculpture, and how it meets poetry, how it meets writing, how it meets society, and also just kind of helps hold a mirror back to us. You know, that is the important aspects of art as we know it, you know, whether it's painting, whether it's sculpting, whether it's music, whatever the case is. But I'm really, really excited to talk to you about Junkyard Dogs. Okay, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it is a wonderful presentation that comes through in the form of an exhibition that brings together two iconic artists, sculptors to be exact, and they have come together in their respective capacities as artists to come together as a unified voice, okay, to bring you this wonderful Junkyard Dogs. It is a wonderful collaborative exhibition by Ntuli as well as Willie Bester. So just a quick run through who these wonderful people are, okay? Just saying their names is exciting enough. Ntuli is a South African sculptor. He's a poet. He's a writer. He is an academic as well. And he spent over 3 decades just living abroad. He was exiled in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and then he also lived in the United Kingdom. Okay, so he's got a very broad look at society and his social science through art, through the poetry, through the sculpting, and of course him as a scholar, having moved through the 3 decades, really learning and absorbing information and research at research level to be able to do the work at the standard that he does it. He's collaborating with Willie Bester, as I mentioned, also wonderful when it comes to his work as a painter, as a sculptor, a college artist. He's best known for his role in the protesting of the apartheid system through his artwork. Okay, so art as rebellion, art as a mirror to society, art as Junkyard Dogs. I'm very excited to talk to the 2 gentlemen who are going to be joining me on the line to talk about this exhibit, what it's about, where we can check it out, and just the role of art and culture in resistance. It's going to be such a wholesome conversation, regardless of where you are on the continent. If you really love art and expressing yourself through creativity and creative problem solving and regenerative future conversations, this one is definitely for you. Stay tuned.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons à présent dérouler notre tapis rouge pour accueillir notre personnalité du jour, l'artiste chanteur Sheki Frey, qui est en ligne de Guinée avec nous.
Je suis un artiste guinéen, un créateur, un styliste, et je fais un peu ce qui plaît à mes fans. Voilà, c'est un peu ça. On a beaucoup déjà de trucs à faire, mais bon, pour le moment, on est basé un peu sur le rap.
D'accord. À quelle période de votre vie avez-vous commencé à vous intéresser à la musique, Sheki?
Bon, je crois pas qu'il y ait une période, parce que moi, je suis un mélomane depuis mon petit âge.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Your afternoons just got even better.
Fresh and exciting.
The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
follow me like coconut. Body they rising like no. I say color your crocodile, no good this logo. Jelly they bossy my pololo. Can make a salute your komodo. Girl if you balance Diego, I give you paper. No go do me Diego, my Maradona. Girl if I lap your sueto, I'm a Farisa. Girl your back keep it canedo, and I can follow your Cresco.
Victor Me coming through with Soweto on that one. Thank you very much for tuning in. Wonderful to have you join us this afternoon. We're about to get into conversation around art. Okay, two artists coming together to present something just a once in a lifetime opportunity. When two icons come together, it really is a once in a lifetime opportunity called Junkyard Dogs. This is a collaborative exhibition between Ntuli as well as Willie Bester. Yes. They are coming together to bring this wonderful exhibition to a gallery near you. I think if you're in Johannesburg, it's definitely closest to you. But we're going to have the conversation in just a moment. Very quickly, just to alert you that the South African Broadcast Corporation, or SABC as we call it, well, we are pleased to announce the launch of the new self-registration platform. Visitors, or rather vendors, vendors that are wishing to do business with the SABC can self-register on the internally developed platform, and you simply have to go to etender.sabc.co.za and then follow the prompts from there. Visit SABC social media pages should you wish to gain more information.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Bana Boy huyo anajulikana kama Damini Ebunolua Ogolo maarufu kama Bana Boy. Alizaliwa Julai 2 mwaka 1991. Ni mwimbaji na mwandishi wa nyimbo kutoka nchini Nigeria. Alipata umaarufu mnamo mwaka 2012 baada ya kutoa wimbo wake wa kwanza kabisa ambao ulijulikana kwa jina la Like to Party kutoka ndani ya studio Live 2013. Mnamo mwaka wa 2017 Bana Boy alisaini na bendi Habit Atlantic Records huko Marekani na One Music Group. Albamu yake ya tatu ya studio ya nje 2018 iliweka alama ya kwanza ya lebo yake. Mnamo mwaka 2019 alishinda sheria ya kimataifa ya bora kabisa kwenye tuzo za BET za 2019. Alitangazwa pia kama msanii wa Apple Music's Up Next.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
18 minutes past 2. Welcome back to The Upside if you have been listening. Otherwise, welcome if you've just started listening. So, Junkyard Dogs. Did I grab your attention just by saying that title? Well, I mean, for me, it's really just so important to acknowledge that artistry serves a much bigger purpose than just entertainment. Visual arts plays such an important role, and it goes beyond just, sculptures looking beautiful. There are themes of humanitarianism in the artworks. There are themes of history, of culture, of iconography on the African continent, themes of environmentalism, very, very important. And that theme of environmentalism is quite strong as we look at this wonderful Junkyard Dogs exhibition that I've been raving about for at least a good hour, okay, as presented by the Melrose Gallery here in Johannesburg. Well, it is a collaborative exhibition, might I add, that unites two of South Africa's most respected artistic voices. I'm talking about Ntuli as well as Willie Bester. So the exhibition, as I understand it, is going to be happening towards the tail end of August 2025. So we're looking at the 29th of August to the 31st of October. So it's going to be running well into the end of the month of October, which is wonderful. So the show explores the reuse of industrial waste, with both artists creating work from discarded materials, co-curated by Ashraf Jamal as well as Dumi Moloi. This is an exhibition and a showcase around sculptures fashioned from metal, granite, and other wonderful repurposed elements. I'm very excited. I mean, just talking about those elements just tells you the quality and the standard of the work. Let me tell you, I've got both gentlemen on the line, and we're going to talk about this craft. We're going to talk about this collaborative project that they call Junkyard Dogs. I love that name. And they're going to tell us more about it. Mpemba, welcome to the show, and Mr. Bester as well. Thank you very much for joining us on Channel Africa.
Thank you to you and to your listeners.
Thank you. What a privilege to be speaking to you both. I want to start with you, Mr. Ntuli. Let's talk about just, the role of sculpture and visual art in Africa as you and I speak. What are your thoughts on that right now?
Africa, art is a very spiritual in a practice. It is the ability to create something out of nothing. And throughout Africa, we know today that Africa is fighting for its artworks to be brought back. That was taken by the colonialists.
Right.
The colonialists seized these pieces because they knew they galvanized the spirit of the people. They got the people closer together. Tied into their belief systems. They felt that by taking those things away from them, then they would weaken the African people for a total domination. And if you look at it, then you look at it here in South Africa, for instance, what many people don't even know. In the year AD 500, there were those Lichtenberg heads that were created, that were the same as the ones that were created 500 years BC in Nigeria. So art has been so very central to the definition of Africa, the definition of spirit.
Right. Thank you for contextualizing it historically in that manner as well, not just in spirit, but also in how African art has been, sort of taken from its origins on the African soil and taken to other lands. And I think this also just speaks to what you have been able to see and research through your work as a scholar, as a young artist, having been exiled for over 30 years. So such a privilege to learn from you and to get this history from you. But Willie Bester, if I may just bring you in here as well, you're also incredibly iconic in your work. I want to just get a sense of, because a lot of your work features a lot of striking political and social symbolism. So how do you then, as an artist, find that balance between the symbolism and the aesthetic?
Yeah, I was drawn into the art scene because of a lack of understanding of who we are and where we are going. So there is so much intolerance that it is not a safe space to express yourself, given that all the noises come from those who try to suppress. So in the face of that, I then developed an attitude to look at the underbelly of what society is all about. And I was very much inspired by the work of an artist who worked with these the underbelly of the city. His metaphor used to be the dogs.
Okay.
And the dogs represented the unknown or the underbelly of cities. Yeah, and the underbelly is the ignored part of the society, and that is a society that does not have a voice. So in the face of that, I developed a silent way of having a conversation with myself, but drawing these kind of uncomfortable conversations into my work.
Right. Very, very important. And I mean, your response is just a wonderful segue into us talking about Junkyard Dogs then. The collaborative work that you are doing, Mr. Ntuli as well as Mr. Bester. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Junkyard Dogs. I think I'm really just fascinated already by the inclusion of industrial waste. Perhaps you can talk to us about why that, and also how your artistries between the both of you gentlemen meet in this collaborative exhibition.
Right. When you talk about a junkyard, a township was a junkyard. A Bantustan is a junkyard. Prison, exile, these are the junkyards. That's why the apartheid people spoke about the discarded people, the surplus people. So what we have done is that in these rejected pieces, there is history, there is memory, there is a lot that needs to be done.
Right.
Exhaust pipes, crankshaft. For instance, when I use a crankshaft in a car, a crankshaft is the one that gets the engine in the car combustion. So if I have a piece called crankshaft, and you see that crankshaft, it is speaking now about the combustion in the political situation in the country and in the political situation in the entire world. So the scrap is up in itself the resurrected spirit of the people that were not honored before.
Okay. Oh man, I think just as part of entertainment and education, I would love to bring my children to come and see the exhibition. It is happening from the 29th of August to the 31st of October, so no excuses. You have enough time to catch an e-hailing service, to put petrol in your car, to catch a plane, to come and check it out. So let's talk about, what you would like people to leave with as we come and see this exhibition. Willie, you can take it from here.
Yeah, in the center of this whole thing is, what I try to address is that I found out that almost all people in the world, somewhere or the other, we were caught up, which brought trauma upon us. So we are actually walking around as traumatized people. And we got different types of traumas. Some traumas is collective, others is traumas that we experience in relationships. Some traumas is out there, but
Right.
it is real.
Yeah.
And the trauma, which is supposed to be something that a mechanism that draw us to be better, is sometimes hijacked and taken into a wrong direction. And it underscores what is happening in the Middle East of people that were heavily conveniently missing something, and we feel powerless because our own traumas is on the table. How we can investigate or interrogate our traumas to make the world a better place. We can do better than what is happening now in Gaza. We can do better as human beings. Yeah, so it's somehow heavy for us because it put the trauma right on top of the table again.
But I've got to say, I think it's also very important to bring all of that to the surface because we cannot heal what we don't acknowledge. So I want to take this opportunity. It's just unfortunate we've run out of time, but it was such a privilege to speak to the both of you and get a sense of, where art is, what sculpture is, how it's participating in contemporary African spaces at the moment. So we're going to be there. Okay? We're going to check out Junkyard Dogs, which is an exhibition. Do you want to say something before we wrap up, Mpemba?
Yeah, I've got something to say.
Yes.
The pieces that are there, my pieces there, have got poems in themselves, right?
Okay.
I am no mindless hound. I'm a sniffer dog of art. I sniff out buried memories, digging through the debris of denial to unearth the bones of hidden truth. My nose knows the scent of freedom. They trained me to guard their empire, but I turned and beat through the chains and became only loyal to the sense of justice and of freedom.
Man, Ashe, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see the work and to meet the both of you. Hopefully I'll be able to catch you somewhere in the gallery so I can just show my deep appreciation in person. But thank you very much. Junkyard Dogs. It's an exhibition by Pitikantuli and Willie Bester. Please go and check it out. The Melrose Art Gallery is where you can check it out, and all the details are online. Okay, you just type Junkyard Dogs. All the information will appear on the screen. It's 2:31. Neto Chamane is standing by with the latest news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko, from the Sports Desk. A very good afternoon. Starting off with tennis news. Tennis South Africa TSA President Gavin Crooks has confirmed to SABC Sport that he will meet the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, to discuss the pressing issues affecting the sport. Crooks said it is the first time in his presidency that a minister has personally requested to meet him and the Federation. He welcomed the opportunity for the dialogue and expressed optimism that the talks would deliver a positive result.
I'm pleased to say that the Minister of Sport and Rec has invited me to meet with him this coming Thursday. I'm looking forward to a very positive engagement with him on our challenges. I'd like to believe that he's committed to making a difference, and that's the first minister in the 14 years, 12 years that I've been president, who's ever invited me to a meeting with him. So I'm positive that there is hope.
In football news, TS Galaxy coach Adnan Beganovic admits it feels like a deja vu after his side slumped to a third successive defeat in the 2025-2026 Betway Premiership campaign. The Rockets were edged 1-0 by Sekhukhune United in a Betway Premiership clash on Wednesday night, the second time Babina Noko have beaten them this season, having also knocked Galaxy out of the MTN 8 just 2 weeks ago. Coming into the match at Peter Mokaba Stadium, Galaxy were already under pressure following a 2-0 league defeat to Durban City last weekend. Beganovic is confident of a quick turnaround.
Maybe it's if you look, yes, 2 games, 0 points, but I hope so. I hope so. We start win games, we start collect points, because obviously we have quality. We show that if we don't play good, if we don't play well. Trust me, I say, because I'm honest, I say we can't do anything, but today we deserve more as a lose game.
Beganovic adds that the FIFA ban imposed on Galaxy should have long been lifted after the club paid monies owed, a scenario that will lift their spirits.
Probably, I hope so every day, because we sort everything before, I think, 10 days, and then just FIFA need to do to remove that ban, because we pay already before 10 days. I don't know what's happening in FIFA, and then obviously immediately we have an opportunity to register all players, and then could be much better for us.
In rugby news, Argentina have grown more competitive in the Rugby Championship in recent years, and with key players back, they are set to open this year's campaign at home against New Zealand on Saturday with renewed confidence. Argentina won 6 matches in their first 10 seasons competing in the Southern Hemisphere Championship, but have claimed as many victories again in the last 3 years alone. That includes the best ever campaign in 2024 when they won in New Zealand for the first time, and also beat world champions Springboks and claimed a record 67-27 victory over Australia. Former Springboks captain John Smith reckons that the season's rugby championship could be tougher, based purely on the fact that South Africa have to travel away to face New Zealand. The Southern Hemisphere Rugby Union competition kicks off this Saturday with the Boks hosting Australia at Ellis Park before Argentina face the All Blacks in Cordoba. Smith, a 2-time Tri-Nations winning captain, believes hosting the Wallabies and visiting the Kiwis this year could prove more challenging than having it the other way around.
So Rugby Championship is always a big part of the influence of a championship is who you face at home, and so I think it's always easier when you're facing the All Blacks at home, and so this year we've got them away twice. I think the good news is that we've got the start of our championship is at home against Australia, and again we've got an Australian team that's come off 3 really tough tests and have actually been really competitive. The margins were small. Actually, a series they probably could have pulled off as well.
For any sports stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Sports, I'm Neto NETO Chemani. More sports news in the next hour.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism. terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
2:37 on the digital clock. Welcome to the Upside, from sports news to business news with Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Standard Bank Group says its Chief Executive Officer Sim Shabalala and Chief Financial Officer Arno Danke will retire by the end of 2027. The announcement comes as the group reported higher headline earnings for the first 6 months of the year. It follows a review of the bank's retirement age for its executives that decided to increase the normal age from 60 to 63. Some of the young South African women attending the P20 Women's Parliament have expressed concerns about the continuing decline of females in employment opportunities and economic participation. The theme of this year's event is accelerating equality, sustainability and shared growth. Group Executive for Corporate Affairs and Sustainability at Bushveld Minerals, Sibu Majosi, says this is a burden facing young women.
There's a disproportionate burden on young women from an unemployment and economic participation perspective. Young women are particularly vulnerable, with NEET rates at 48.1% for young women. Those that are wondering what NEET is, it's not in education, employment or training, compared to 42.2% of men. So it really is a disproportionate burden on young women.
The youngest Director General of Civil Aviation in the world and on the African continent from Sierra Leone Civil Aviation Authority, Musareyo Bari, has held the ICAO Next Generation of Aviation Professionals Global Summit, currently underway in Durban, South Africa. She says it is a fantastic opportunity, in particular, to show young people that they too can hold the high-powered positions in the industry.
Africa has all the potential, my sister. We have young professionals, we have a passion, we have a location that makes us the center of the world, not only for connecting people by air transport, but for trade. So Africa needs to be intentional about our role in the sector.
The Congolese mining company, sanctioned by the United States this week, has said it rejects allegations linking it to armed groups and mineral smuggling in turbulent Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions against a Congolese cooperative over what it calls the illicit sale of critical minerals smuggled from the mineral-rich region of Rubaya. The U.S. also sanctioned the Congolese armed group aligned with Congo's military, which Washington said control mining sites in Rubaya from 2022 to 2024 and two Hong Kong-based exporters. And finally, oil prices are stable as investors weighed the potential impact of Friday's U.S.-Russia summit on Ukraine on Russian crude flows after U.S. President Donald Trump warned of severe consequences for Russia if it does not agree to peace. Brent crude futures were up 35 U.S. cents at $65.98 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were 35 cents higher at $63. Both contracts hit their lowest in 2 months on Wednesday after bearish supply guidance from the U.S. government and the International Energy Agency. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 533. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 47. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 07. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 40. Russia is 79 rubles 52. India is 87 rupees 51. China at 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 53. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,347 and platinum at $1,341 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $65.89 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Mosito Soma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Stella Longwe pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa kusangalala kupeza moyo akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu woyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo woyimba ukuyenda bwino kwambiri chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
Je, unajua Kiswahili? Unapenda kazi kwenye redio? Na una hati ya kufanya kazi nchini Afrika Kusini? Ikiwa ni hivyo, basi una fursa ya kufanya kazi na Channel Africa. Tutumie CV yako na onyesho la kazi lako kwenye newsroom@sabc.co.za ili kupata nafasi ya kujiunga na familia ya Channel Africa. Kumbuka, kama hujapata majibu ndani ya siku 14, ina maana kwamba haujachaguliwa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Baby, follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Follow my command, like zombie. Go down on me, oh, with your coca body. Cause this your milky for front enough for me. Hold on for me, I no go to me corny. And if you're milky na fighty, I saw me to look. Baby, gonna waka waka when you enter my licha. Baby, gonna will you give me sugar? Wala. Macho Mona Lisa, 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 Macho Mona Lisa. Macho Mona Lisa, Macho Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa, I go sweep you off your feet. What up, so she said make some time for me, See for this life, me and you tap like hush puppy. We walking next there. Please
take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Body they draw me like a bono. Body they rise in my no. I say color your procoto, no good this locoto. Kelly they bossy my bololo. Can make a salute your commando. Tell if you balance Diego, I give you paper. No go do me Diego, my Maradona. Tell if I lap your sueto, I'm a farisa. Tell your back, keep it connected. And I can follow your cresco.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Kushoti keli niga mahora mabili kamele sfuben sako angoba unempatho kunhlanga zimuka nomoya dali ngicela teleport dali enhlizweni yakho zofika maduze phakathi kwamabili u12 akulaleki ngathi ngiphuza ikoflela the All-star, I got Jimmy Choose on. True Scott, Queen and I was shoes and drinking loose. You say your ex used to play you like a good song. Minangile ngomo ipilo busuku bonke jukebox. Minangile mbali, wayithola kumdali. Yejabule sihlozi nabasali. Iskali, isidalele thina baby yangali. Mhlambe sona sinenkani, kodwa mina nawe sihlezi sineplani.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Matuka Wanji Nonse, Zukani, the Shy Guy, a Morning Switch.
Have you ever listened to a song and then it gives you goosebumps? Cause it takes you way back in the 80s. My goodness. Hey, baby. You hear Yvonne Chaga Chaga there. I wanna talk to the DJ. And then the DJ goes like, hey baby, I've got you on the other side. There were no WhatsApps then, right? There were no sliding in the TMs at the time. Oh man.
Your weekend mornings are activated with the Shy Guy on the Morning Switch.
8 minutes to go till it is 3 p.m. We are fast approaching the golden hour of the Upside with Mmatsheko Mosito with you until 4. So, a double play coming through. Nomfundo Mo from South Africa with Indizamshini featuring Black Diamond. And of course, before that one, we heard Low J with Mona Lisa featuring Sands and Chris Brown on that one. So some big hits coming too as we bring you all things lifestyle programming throughout the African continent and its vast diaspora. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. So it is time for What Caught Your Eye. We always check in with anything that's newsworthy, newsmakers, entertainment, what's happening. We just go to the corners and find things that are happening. It's interesting to note the e-hailing strike and how violent they are becoming in South Africa, particularly. I was watching some very disturbing photography and footage last night, catching the vehicles of the drivers being burnt down outside one of the popular and very busy malls in the township of Soweto in South Africa. It is just so disturbing because where are we going to go as a people? How far are we going to go as a people if this is how we treat ourselves and we treat our businesses? Can we not come up with a round table and have conversation? I really wonder about that. We're watching that story unfold quite closely. It is still kind of developing, in terms of how far these strikes are going to go, but we're going to watch it closely. Another one that has caught my eye continentally is the issue around the BBC Africa Eye documentary. Okay, BBC has these really well-researched, in-depth documentaries that they do. And one of the latest ones is titled Madams Exposing Kenya's Child Sex Trade. And it looks like it has stirred public and political reaction after, shining a harsh light on child exploitation in Mai Mahu in Kenya. All right. So the investigative piece released on the 4th of August, so a little bit earlier in the month, features powerful testimonies from adult survivors who were abused as children, a fact that BBC has emphasized in response to the backlash. Okay, this story is unfortunately maybe disturbing, so you may want to tune out, but I will continue. So the controversy deepened when Kenya's Interior Cabinet Secretary came through publicly and basically dismissed the film as a hoax, okay, alleging that the women were paid and not under and that they were not underage at the time of the abuse. However, the BBC has stood by its work, stating that no participants were coached. There was no financial compensation. Everything was done legitimately. It was an investigation that carried integrity, okay, basically. So I think for me, this moment raises some important questions about how government responds to exposés and systematic abuse, rather than discrediting the voices of survivors. The focus perhaps should be on protecting vulnerable children. Hold a mirror back up to how you're running your country. Are you protecting vulnerable children? Are you improving on your accountability as people that are in the public sector and in government? Are you addressing the root causes of exploitation that has clearly been ongoing for many, many decades? This is one expose. I can only imagine as I sit here in this space, how many of these exposés have been sort of hidden behind the carpet, don't talk about it, don't do this, don't do that. But at the core, journalism at this standard serves a very important public discourse, okay? It's bringing through hidden truths to light so that people can know what's happening, and we can never change what we don't acknowledge. We can never, ever come to solutions when we don't know what's happening. So I think that it is a very good thing that the BBC has released this documentary. We know how credible the documentaries are. I've watched several of them, and I have to say that I have deep admiration for how the research is done and how they source, the people that are in these particular documentaries. So I think this serves as a great platform for you and I as ordinary citizens on the African continent to really just engage with one another on a serious note and to hold government accountable. Who's holding government accountable if it's not the journalists? You know, why are they being stopped from doing their job? That is their job, to bring to our attention what is happening on the ground. So this level of dismissal, unacceptable, if you ask me. But you're welcome to pitch in with your opinion. Let us know if you have any thoughts just on how the government of Kenya has handled this issue around this BBC Africa Eye documentary. And perhaps you've seen the documentary, okay? I caught snippets of it last night, but I do want to watch the full documentary tonight, actually, as I sit on my couch and watch. But let me know. If you've watched the documentary, please let me know what you think. Madams Exposing Kenya's Child Sex is what the documentary is called. We will be talking all things fashion with my in-studio guest in the next hour as we continue with the Upside. Thank you very much for tuning in. So we're going to be talking to the founder of LSJ Designs, how he kind of looks at style, you know, how he looks at craftsmanship and its meeting with heritage and, just dressing people, making them look good. You know, such a beautiful conversation we're going to have just after 3 p.m. It is 3 on the dot. Jolane Tulongwepe has the latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories this hour. South Africa's Minister in the Presidency optimistic of the upcoming National Convention, and the AU backs a campaign to end the use of the 16th century Mercator map of the world. Good afternoon. South Africa's Minister in the Presidency for Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Maropene Ramokgopa, believes that sections of society and organizations that have pulled out of the upcoming National Convention will still contribute to the national dialogue. Various political parties and legacy foundations have dropped out of the convention, which is expected to begin tomorrow until Saturday in Pretoria. This is due to objections regarding the budgeting and timelines of the convention. Ramokgopa was speaking on the sidelines of the launch of the Business Leadership's Reform Tracker in Sandton in the north of Johannesburg.
The convention will just set a basis of how we are going to move forward. However, the dialogues will be happening on the ground in different localities, and I still have hope, and I do believe that those that have pulled out will still find a way of actually having an impact and contributing to the national dialogue outcome, because it's going to take quite a long time in different places. I do believe that they will find a way of participating.
South Africa's Transport Minister Barbara Creecy has strongly condemned the killing of an e-hailing driver in an arson attack at Maponya Mall in Soweto last night. 2 e-hailing vehicles were set alight by unknown suspects in what is suspected to be a taxi-related a taxi violence related incident. Residents have blocked off a road preventing access to and from the mall. National Transport Department spokesperson Colin Msibi.
Transport Minister Barbara Creasy and the Deputy Minister Mkulego Hlengwa strongly condemns the acts of violence and criminality that resulted in the tragic death of an e-hailing driver at Maponya Mall, Soweto on Wednesday. They also expressed their message of condolences to the bereaved family who lost their loved one, further indicating that such criminal behavior has no place in the public transport sector and that those responsible must face the full might of the law.
The medical charity Mmatsheko says Sudan is experiencing the worst cholera outbreak the country has seen in years, killing more than 2,400 people. The organization says there have been more than 100,000 cases over the past year, fueled by the civil war. The BBC's Barbara Plett-Asher reports.
Cholera is a disease caused by polluted water. It has festered in Sudan's conflict areas where water infrastructure has been destroyed and in camps for displaced people. The epicenter of the outbreak right now is Tawila in North Darfur state. Hundreds of thousands of people recently fled there to escape the fighting in the nearby city of Al-Fashar. Aid workers who've set up clinics in Tawila told the BBC that the camps do not have enough latrines and clean water, that people are forced to drink from contaminated sources. The disease compounds the humanitarian crisis caused by the civil war, with scarce food supplies and a healthcare system on the point of collapse.
The African Union has backed a campaign to end the use by governments and international organizations of the 16th century Mercator map of the world in favor of one that more accurately displays Africa's size. The projection created by cartographer Gerardus Mercator for navigation distorts continent sizes, enlarges areas near the poles like North America and Greenland, while shrinking Africa and South America. Commission Deputy Chairperson Salma Malika Haddadi says Mercator fostered a false impression that Africa was marginal, despite being the world's second largest continent by area, with 54 nations and over 1 billion people. Criticism of the Mercator map is not new, but the Correct the Map campaign, led by advocacy groups Africa No Filter and Speak Up Africa, have revived the debate, urging organizations to adopt the 2018 Equal Earth projection, which tries to reflect countries' true sizes. And finally, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky has held talks in London with the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer in a show of unity ahead of the US-Russia summit tomorrow. It comes amid optimism that Ukraine's position will be represented. After all, the BBC's Nick Everly has the story.
There is a hope that the message that they were trying to convey, that a deal can't just be imposed on Ukraine, was heard by President Trump and that he agrees. I think there will be some optimism about some of the comments that President Trump made last night when he said that, oh yes, he's having talks with President Putin tomorrow, but then he wants to organise another summit with President Zelensky involved this time. That gives a sense, perhaps, that any deal wouldn't just be seen as a fait accompli for Ukraine and that it could be involved in the negotiations.
Recapping the top story this hour, South Africa's Minister in the Presidency for Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation, Marobene Ramokgopa, believes that sections of society and organizations that have pulled out of the upcoming national convention will still contribute to the national dialogue. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Webe.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, how quickly time flies when you and I are having a good time. Already in the final hour of the Upside for the Thursday edition. We are 7 minutes into 3 p.m. Thank you so much for your listening ear. It's been quite a good week, and here we are towards the tail end of the week. We are going to be talking about fashion design. Okay, fashion design. I think in this world where fast fashion is such a thing, it's always, doesn't it feel good? I know it feels really amazing for me, and it's a feeling that never gets old. Having a designer garment, especially one that has been specially made for you, you know, it's almost like you were born into it. You were born to fit into this dress or this outfit. And it just makes not only you feel special, but whatever occasion you're going to be gracing feels extraordinary. Right? So the role of fashion, very, very important. I want us to get to know the founder of a brand known as LSJ. And the founder of this particular brand is Ronnie Mmatsheko. He is a young designer from South Africa. And I would just like to get to understand how he's able to fuse high fashion with bold cultural storytelling. Because if you really think about the importance of fashion just generally on the African continent, it's a space that carries so much vibrancy, especially when we look at fashion as a form of expression, expressing our culture, expressing our history, our identity. It's all woven into the things that we wear, right? So very, very beautiful discussion that we're going to be having with this young designer who's going to be joining me in studio. Do you have any fashion designers that you identify with? Perhaps one of them has dressed you. You know, it could be anyone. They don't have to be a big superstar like Ituwen Basi of Nigeria or Christy Brown of Ghana or who's this wonderful feminine from South Africa? Palesama Kubung. Yes. I almost said Monso. That's actually her brand, Monso. Palesama Kubungs of this world. It could be anyone. There could be a really big superstar on the African continent, or they could be the seamstress lady who's got a lot of talent living a couple of streets away from you. You know, any fashion designers from the African continent that you would love to acknowledge. I would love to learn some new names. Throw them my direction. All right. On Facebook, we are Channel Africa. You can find us on Twitter as well. Just use the hashtag The Upside and I'll be able to see your tweet.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Tumetoka kusikiliza wimbo na huo ni utunzi wako, wewe ndio umeandika mistari na imani wewe ndio umeandika mstari. Tuanzie kwenye jina. Wimbo unaenda kwa jina gani?
Wimbo unaitwa Kanjori.
Aha, Kanjori. Kanjori maana yake nini?
Kama jinsi nilivyoimba. Nauza wazo leo, kesho na wazo wa uzuri wake, mwendo wake. Sijapata sio mfikirio. Ukikau matendo yake, changu chake.
Unatisha kweli. Aha, Kanjori. Ni historia gani au message gani ambayo imefichama nyuma ya wimbo huu?
Yeah, Kanjori kwa ufupi ni kitu kizuri, yani kitu kidogo. Kitu kadogo yani alafu ni kazuri ambapo kanavutia kwa kila mtu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Open the fire, play the bed, do let them know. No finish you, no finish you. Man no fit tire, every day I'm on the road. No limit you, no limit you. Hey, this now so good. Would you turn down for who? Would you robo? Many things we can do. Tori, I'm into you. Would you wire for you? Tonight I'll be dancing at the bed away. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. Cause you should get up. Blessings for your head up. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. But I know go get us. Better go look at us. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. Cause you should get up. Blessings for your head up. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. But I know go get us. Better go look at us. And I'm like Vuvuzela. No one can do you better. You body fall from me. Why now go shoddy. Love the energy tonight. Where could they my side? But now you dey my mind. Man, you don't show. This now so good. Would you turn down for who? Would you robo? Many things we can do. Tori, I'm into you. Would you wire for you? Tonight I'll be dancing at the pen away. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. Cause you should get up. Blessings for your head up. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. But I know go get us. Better go look at us. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. Cause you should get up. Blessings for your head up. Yola balaba, give me your hand and shoulder. But I know go get us. Better go look at us.
14 minutes into 3 p.m. in Central African time, coming through with Crayon, Jolaba Laba, the title of the song. Very amazing music that we coming through. Just some young artists from all over the African continent gracing our playlist this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We are a good 3 hours in and some, okay? So if you've just started listening, well, you're just in time, because we're talking about creativity in the form of fashion. And my guest this afternoon is the founder behind LSJ Designs. Okay, remember that name, LSJ Designs. We're going to talk about, standing out in the big crowded noise of fashion. And I think particularly when we look at fast fashion and the mess there. But I was just remarking to you earlier about, doesn't it feel beautiful and wonderful to be in a custom outfit? And the fabrics touching your skin and you walking into whatever occasion it is, whether it's a wedding, whether it's a presidential inauguration, whether it's a birthday party, it doesn't matter what the occasion is, but you're wearing something that you know that nobody else is wearing. There's just something about that feeling, right? So we're going to talk to my special guest in a moment, but before we get into our chat, just to quickly fill you in on the South African Broadcasting Corporation, well, they are pleased to announce the launch of the new self-registration platform, which basically wishes to invite vendors to do business with the SABC. And you can do so by self-registering on the internally developed platform. Just go on sabc.co.za, but more easily you can go on the eTenders self-registration platform. That's eTender, all one word, eTender.sabc.co.za, and follow the prompts from there. Should you wish to get more information, go on SABC's social media pages for more information.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Welcome back. So in a world where fast fashion is dominating, while LSJ Designs is standing out, okay? They are celebrating craftsmanship, heritage, and style with meaning, might I add. So I'm talking here to somebody who has made some significant moves, okay, from rural Limpopo to international red carpets. The founder of LSJ Designs joins me in studio. His name is Mmatsheko, and he's going to talk to us about what it takes as a young person on the African continent to build a brand that is not just about high fashion, but about a rich cultural storytelling, as it were. What story is he trying to tell us through his craft? What message is behind the garments? And he's right here beside me with his mazaza, looking amazing. Ronnie, such a pleasure to meet you. You have a wonderful energy. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's start right at the top about, just fashion, because I think, I hold a very strong opinion that artists are born.
Yeah.
Okay.
True.
It's either you're an artist or you're not.
Or you're not.
And at a soul level, you then decide, as you move through the world, what kind of artist you're going to be, how you're going to convey the artistry. Is it going to be through music, through fashion, through food, through sculpture? Yours was fashion. How did the craft meet you?
So it's so funny because it started at a very early age of me. When I was born in Limpopo, I used to play around a lot with girls. So I will make their dolls' clothes with plastic. It started there, and then I used to also make take old dresses, try to change them into wedding gowns and have weddings in my auntie's house. Which every time we got into trouble for doing that. So it literally just started there. But because growing up in Limpopo, in such a village where people, I always tell this, that people that you see on TV, I always give example with Koini Morog. Growing up, we didn't even know that Koini Morog actually exists. So me growing up there as a boy who wanted to be a fashion designer was just something that was impossible.
Right.
So in the midst of growing up, I studied IT because I just didn't think fashion was going to work for me. And then, but when I was studying IT, that's when I actually started doing more stuff. I started creating stuff, and then Facebook was the big thing back then. And then somehow I was recognized by Gert, and then I was Gert's PA Offense. DM'd me on an inbox. It was an inbox by then. They were asking if Gert wants to see me. So that
is huge.
Yes.
Gert Johan Coetzee is, he's fashion royalty.
Yes, he is.
Did you understand that moment at that time?
Mind you, that was my first celebrity ever in my life that I was going to meet in the same room alone. So it was so many emotions. I even remember going to my cousin to borrow a suit because I didn't have a suit because I needed to look the part.
Right,
but my fashion journey literally started then. That was 2017.
What a story.
Yes.
I didn't expect that. What a story. Oh, my goodness. You know what? We're going to take a very, very quick break. I want to come back, and because I think one of the things that attracted me to your brand before I even saw the clothing is your firm stance against fast fashion. Very, very important. So let's take a break. We'll be back with Ronnie in his capacity as the founder of LSJ Designs.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800-428-428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Welcome back to The Upside with Mmatsheko Mosito until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. We appreciate that you're listening via satellite, but otherwise, if you're streaming audio visually on Facebook and YouTube, well, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for joining us. It's good to have you here. We are talking to Ronnie Matlakwane in his role as the founder of a really beautiful fashion brand. And I call it beautiful because, yes, the garments are beautiful, but also what the brand stands for is where, fashion on the African continent should be moving. Responsible fashion, even though it's high end, we really need to have consideration for how we come up with these brands. What is the brand philosophy? So, Ronnie, let's talk about, your stance that you have against fast fashion. Why is this stance so important to
you? Because a lot of people, they tend not to understand exactly what is fashion. To a lot of certain people, especially people with money who have no passion for it, they literally just see something that is business. Yes, it's something that we all need to survive from, but it's more than that, because for some of us, it takes passion to actually create something. It doesn't matter how small. People could see it like a t-shirt. It takes a whole lot of work that goes into that.
Right.
So now when we have that, and then now this fast fashion that's just moving in a way that, and it's so cheap that we can't even try to compete with it. It's something that honestly, it's very emotional, and it's not a nice thing to actually be part of that. I think that's my thing, where I'm not really good with the fast fashion that is actually happening, because I feel like a lot of people, they could learn a lot from just not buying something at a shop, but knowing the architect that actually goes through into that fashion.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I think it's very easy to just grab something cheap off of the rack and keep it moving. But how does that affect your sense of style? How does that affect your aura? How are you going to present yourself in the room, honey?
Yes.
Very important. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's talk about just an extension to the philosophy of the brand. Let's talk about the story behind the designs. Is it couture? What story are you trying to tell through the designs overall?
So mostly how I started, right? I think it'll be easier to explain it from there. I started because of learning from the Johan Kutsia, which is, he specializes more into couture. But over the years, when I was finding myself in it, I realized how good I was with that, and I tried to venture into new stuff where I'm more now into ready-to-wear, which it's not just ready-to-wear, but it's a high-end ready-to-wear. So for me, it goes with the thing of, it's not just couture, or it's not just ready-to-wear, but it's the story that moves from how do we couture an outfit and how do we move it to the streetwear. Yeah.
I'm on your Instagram right now, so if you do want to follow, it's Lawrenson Jr.
Yes.
Lawrenson, so Law R-E-N Son Junior. Okay, if you want to find the director of LSJ. And it's so beautiful to note just some of the people that you've dressed, the Thuso Mbetus of this world, and other international stars, also royalty, Talk to me about, okay, so we're going to speak a bit more about the ready-to-wear, but the exclusive stuff, like when you get called to dress people, what is your approach? I would imagine that the process is interesting because every client is different.
It's different, yes. Especially if you have to work with individually clients. It's every day where you have to meet different people, different personalities. But I think that's the most exciting part about it, because now that's where the actual creativity comes from. So, and one thing, growing up, I've always known that I will be well known for what I'll be doing. I didn't know what was it, but something in me was always saying, and I'm gonna work with people, with public figures, with
Mm.
celebrities. So when I happen to get these people calling me, like the royal family of Eswatini, calling and then wanting to inquire to this boy who's just trying. For me, at some point, was like, okay, God, what is it that you're trying to say? I know it's supposed to scare you, but I was not ready for this one. So, but I've
Wow,
always
man.
had that in me where I'm going to work with these people, and this is what I'm destined for. So it was always about that. I think that's what kept me humble and calm whenever I'm supposed to be meeting people like that.
I'm happy for you, like you are my own kid brother. This is just so extraordinary. Let's talk challenges.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big industry. It's a
Very
big
big.
space to play, and it's very competitive. You know, what have been some of the challenges, but also how have you been able to navigate them?
So the best thing that you must always try to, I think the hardest thing that you must always try to do is to stay relevant. And then sometimes relevancy in the fashion industry, which I could just continue to the whole entertainment industry. It's how you always show up. It's how who's wearing you, who are you collaborating with, who have you done with. But it must not always take time. It could be, e.g., I could say I could be working with Lerato Kganyago today, but I can't wait for the next 3 months talking about it. People moved from that. You must always think ahead. You must always try to find new things that people are being attracted to, or it's attracting the public. I think that's the most challenging thing, and also that costs money, because sometimes you're gonna have to approach these people, and when you approach someone who's well known, they're already taken advantage of. Oh, I can't pay, which means he's expecting me to post and tag me on the social media. So sometimes it's so hard, but
Right.
it's another way of trying to stay relevant, because if you cannot stay relevant, they're gonna forget you. So must always be on your
top.
toes.
Yeah.
You must always be on your toes. You must always be, or try to be, on the top at all times.
And pray.
And pray. I pray a lot.
Yeah.
Actually, I pray for
Yeah.
every garment that leave my studio. It doesn't matter how many we have.
Right.
So that's another thing that really keeps me there.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's very important. No jokes. Absolutely. Spirit in artistry is very important. I mean, Peter Gantuli spoke about this earlier, and he's iconic. You know, he's been doing sculpture for so many years, but he understands that you've really got to humble yourself to this talent, because it's a gift. You know, it could be
Yes.
taken away from you at any moment. So it is a gift. So beautiful. Okay. Ronnie is still in studio with me. He is the founder of LSJ Designs, and we're just talking about his fashion philosophy, his storytelling, some of the wonderful people that he's dressed. In the next segment, I want us to talk about the ready to wear, okay?
Yes.
Fashion moving in that direction of ready to wear, but, you know, very exclusive, beautiful fabrics, just delicious things. We're going to continue the conversation in the next segment. It is 3:30 right now. We're going to cross to the sports desk. Neto Chemane, what's happening?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko, from the sports desk. A very good afternoon. Starting off with rugby news. Former Springbok captain John Smith reckons this season's rugby championship could be tougher, based purely on the fact that South Africa have to travel away to face New Zealand. The Southern Hemisphere Rugby Union competition kicks off this Saturday, with the Boks hosting Australia at Ellis Park before Argentina face the All Blacks in Cordoba. Smith, a two-time Tri-Nations winning captain, believes hosting the Wallabies and visiting the Kiwis this year could prove more challenging than having it the other way around.
So rugby championship is always a big part of the influence of a championship is who you face at home, and so I think it's always easier when you're facing the All Blacks at home, and so this year we've got them away twice. I think the good news is that we've got the start to our championship is at home against Australia, and again we've got an Australian team that's come off 3 really tough tests and have actually been really competitive. The margins were small. Actually, a series they probably could have pulled off as well.
However, having been at the pinnacle of world rugby for the better part of his last 6 years, the 47-year-old has no doubt the current crop of players have what it takes to deliver back-to-back championship titles.
So rugby championship is always a big part of the influence of a championship is who you face at home, and so I think it's always easier when you're facing the All Blacks at home, and so this year we've got them away twice. I think the good news is that we've got the start to our championship is at home against Australia, and again we've got an Australian team that's come off 3 really tough tests and have actually been really competitive. The margins were small. Actually, a series they probably could have pulled off as well.
In tennis news, Tennis South Africa TSA President Gavin Crooks has confirmed to SABC Sport that he will meet the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, to discuss the pressing issues affecting the sport. Crooks said it is the first time in his presidency that a minister has personally requested to meet with him and the Federation. He welcomed the opportunity for dialogue and expressed optimism that the talks would deliver positive results.
I'm pleased to say that the Minister of Sport and Rec has invited me to meet with him this coming Thursday. I'm looking forward to a very positive engagement with him on our challenges. I'd like to believe that he's committed to making a difference, and so that's the first minister in the 14 years, 12 years that I've been president, who's ever invited me to a meeting with him. So I'm positive that there is hope.
The former TSA Vice President explained that he will use the meeting to highlight the Federation's recent challenges and work with McKenzie's team to find practical solutions.
So our biggest challenger at the moment, Charles, is our facilities. On 2 counts. On the first count, there's huge pressure we're facing. There's this whole debacle around Marks Park, which there's a tennis facility there, and that's used a lot extensively for development. And it seems that the city of Johannesburg is looking to redevelop that precinct.
And finally, in football news, Manchester United will face League 2 side Grimsby Town in the second round of the Carabao Cup. Plus, there are all 2 Premier League ties. AFC Bournemouth will host Brentford, while Wolves will play West Ham, when the 11 Premier League clubs not participating in a European competition enter the Carabao Cup in the second round. Promoted Leeds face a trip to either Bolton or Sheffield, and Everton will host League 1 Mansfield. League 1's Doncaster's reward for their 4-0 drubbing of Middlesbrough is a trip to Accrington, while Bromley host League 1 Wycombe after dumping in Ipswich, who last spent the season in the Premier League out on penalties. For any sports stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Sports, I'm Neto Neto Chemani.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Zochitika ndimadaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Mabhizinesi osiyana-siyana mdziko la South Africa ayamba kukhoma msonkho wa 30% akamagulitsa katundu wawo ku dziko la United States of America. Ndipo panotele ndikatswiri wa zachuma mu dziko la Malawi Dr. Bertha Chikadza. Boma la South Africa masiku apitawo linanena kuti ngati America akani kutsitsa msonkho, bomalo lipeza misika ina. Mungatifotokozere kuti ndizotheka South Africa kupeza misika yomwe ingabweretse ndalama pafupifupi $15 billion zomwe imapezeka ku msika ya ku America.
Tinene kuti izizi zitha kuchitika koma sizingachitike mwa pompopompo chifukwa tikaonetsetsa izizi zokuti inali msika wa dziko la America noni msika wakukhazikika umene dziko la South Africa linali likuzolowera kale. Tsono kuti tingonena kuti dziko la South Africa lipezanso msika mwina mwasangasanga kuti lizitumiza katundu wake mwina zisizingachitike pacho kuti tikunena papa $15 billion ndi ndalama zambiri ndithu.
Zochitika ndimadaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
It's 3:36. Let's check in with business news. Nosipo Zuma has the latest.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Standard Bank Group says its Chief Executive Officer Sim Shabalala and Chief Financial Officer Arno Danke will retire by the end of 2027. The announcement comes as the group reported higher headline earnings for the first 6 months of the year. It follows a review of the bank's retirement age for its executives that decided to increase the normal age from 60 to 63 years old. South Africa's KwaZulu-Natal province has lauded the organizers of the Next Generation of Aviation Professionals Global Summit. Member of the Executive Council for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Musa Zondi, says the summit has motivated young people to develop an interest in the tourism sector. The two-day summit, which began on Tuesday, ends today. Zondi explains.
The province is a gateway to the continent, whether in terms of aviation, in terms of our busiest port here, the two ports of Durban and Richards Bay.
Meanwhile, the director of East African School of Aviation in Kenya, Sarah Watiki, has highlighted the urgent need to actively support and strengthen aviation training worldwide. Watiki said this to Channel Africa on the last day of the ICAO Next Generation of Aviation Professionals Global Summit in Durban, South Africa. She believes authorities should contribute their part to this effort.
Governments must provide scholarships for students, especially the needy students who are also bright from very marginalized societies, must provide scholarships, must provide funding so that we don't just inspire people or young people to come into the industry, but we also sustain them.
The US dollar has ticked marginally higher against other major currencies in calm market trading, but stayed close to multi-week lows as bets that the Federal Reserve will resume cutting interest rates next month rose. Backing the trend was the yen, with the dollar touching a 3-week low against the Japanese currency. A hot producer price index for July saw the dollar spike marginally higher in the afternoon trading, but markets were largely steady during morning trading in Europe. And finally, oil prices are stable as investors weighed the potential impact on Friday's US-Russia summit on Ukraine on Russian crude flows after U.S. President Donald Trump warned severe consequences for Russia if it does not agree to peace. Brent futures were up 35 U.S. cents at $65.98 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were 35 cents higher at $63. Both contracts hit their lowest in 2 months on Wednesday after bearish supply guidance from the U.S. government and the International Energy Agency. Your financial indicators: $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 533. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 30. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 47. And in Zambia, it's 23 kwacha 07. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 40. Russia is 79 rubles 52. India is 87 rupees 51. China, it's 7 yuan 18. And in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 53. $1 is trading at 74 pence to the British pound and 85 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,347 and platinum at $1,341 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $65.89 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Mosito Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800 428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on the Upside.
Thank you for staying with us. This is us in the final last minutes of the Upside for the Thursday edition. And we're still in conversation with my special guest in studio, Ronnie Mmatsheko, and he is the founder of LSJ Designs. We've been talking about the couture side of things, the fashion philosophy, what the brand stands for. But I really want to talk about the ready-to-wear. But before we go there, Ronnie, talk to me. I was asking you off air, actually, what, your relationship is like with Gert Johan Coetzee now. Because, you had the privilege and honor to serve as creative director for his brand. So I want to get an understanding of how that directorship and also just what you observed in Limpopo as a child, how that influences your work.
So I wouldn't say there's not much from Limpopo that actually did influence my work. But sometimes growing up in a family where everything to get was hard, whenever you find an opportunity, I kept on reminding myself this is the only opportunity you'll ever get. So you're gonna have to use it and work on it as much as this is the last thing you've ever have. So I think that's what actually also attracted me being able to work with a legend like Gert Johan Coetzee. And me getting there, oh my God, it was such a beautiful thing. I literally got there and I remember the first, he tested me with one client to fit, and that person was born. This is the second day.
That's quite a person to fit.
Yes, this is the second day of me now being with celebrities, like now being to work with celebrities, being in the same room. I want you to understand that part where this is my first time in my life where I'm in the same room with someone who's well known and everyone wanna have picture with, and it's only me in that room talking to them. That was my first time. From Gert now it was Bonang. So that's how I ended up actually working with Gert closely when I got to be an intern with him.
Because you did such a good job.
Yeah, I think I did.
Well done. Oh my goodness. That's an amazing story. So you've clearly, you've built yourself, and you are, I get a sense that you're just such a sponge, ready to learn, happy to learn, and you don't take anything for granted.
No.
Which is always a good place to start. Okay, please educate us, because I might be very intimidated by, when I hear designs and I hear you've dressed Bonang and you've dressed Nomalanga and you've dressed former South Africa Zazbini Tunzi, and I'm just like, and other, international superstars. You have a ready-to-wear collection that's available on the website.
Yes.
So what exactly does ready-to-wear mean?
So a ready-to-wear, it's an everyday wear. It's how you want to look every day when you leave home, how I want people to see me on the street, how I want people to see me in the office, and how I want to feel. Because I honestly think how I look, it's how I feel every day. And me working, I love, sorry to get off a bit. I love attention. But my attention is not a thing of how I grab my attention, it's how I look. So that's what actually inspired me and pushed me to work more into ready-to-wear rather than focusing more onto couture, because that's just a red carpet look. It happens at the summers, the awards, whatever that awards we're having.
And the moment is gone.
The moment is gone. But what happened between Monday to Friday or Monday to Saturday, when I go to work, how do I want to look? How do I want to see? How I want people to perceive me as a fashion designer? Will they be able to take me serious for what I do? Or they'll just see me as another random guy who's trying to make it out of the out of the hood. So that was one thing that actually inspired me to work more into ready to wear.
Okay. I'm really glad that you brought that up actually and used yourself as an example. How do you want to represent yourself in the world? You know, I mean, I should probably do my hair and get rid of this thing on my head. I'm literally thinking now, how do you want to represent yourself in the world every single day? That is very important for anyone who's trying to build a personal brand, trying to build a career, you know, and try to build self-confidence, you know. So fashion is very important to cover all those themes. Talk to me about your approach, just in extension to with what you've said, your approach to ready to wear, you know, the fabrics that you're using, you know, what is the intention behind your collection at the moment?
So my intention with the collection at the moment, that's why the latest collection, it's actually called High End, but mostly we were actually focusing on men because we are also venturing into men.
Right.
So with women, I've been doing women for over and over. So with men, when I went with High End for men, was also trying to get men not just to look ordinary every day. You can't just be wearing a suit every day. People are just gonna know with a jean. But how can a jean be changed from just being a jean to being a piece, a denim piece? So that was one thing that also got me into that. And I started with myself. So I've been trying this for over 3 years now, with making clothes for myself and then seeing what people receive. And for me, it was then that was when I knew I could actually use this also to get men excited in wearing something every day, where I cannot just wear a golf shirt and then we call it a day. But what kind of golf shirt am I wearing? What fabric is it made of, this golf shirt? What is it made? It's not just a chino, but what kind of chino is it made with? The smallest detail, the stitching, the thread that was used, the colors that are coming together on that pants that you'll be making. How is it going to work, and how is it going to make you feel and be excited in waking up every day and feeling like you are dressed up? Yes.
Take pride in your looks.
Yes.
And how you look, you know. Whether you're a man or a woman. I like that you are balancing the feminine and the masculine through your designs. Okay, so help me, okay?
Yes.
I'm now interested. Maybe I really want to upgrade now. Ne?
Yes.
There is other brands like Mosito, for example. I want to, you know, I want to LSJ a little bit. Where do I start? Especially if I really, in my soul, I want to elevate. I want to start the ready-to-wear designer clothes because I want to stand out, but I also want to be comfortable. And I walk into your store, or at least online. You know, where can I start as a lady?
So as a lady, I would actually suggest, firstly, you need to know what you like. Could be, you know, in fashion, I always tell people, you can never say someone is too dull or is not too fashionable or they're too dressed or they don't really dress well. But it goes firstly with how comfortable you are in something. Then we take it from there. But the best way, what I would suggest, is you can actually book a consultation with me. Then we rework. I have a stylist called Helen of Troy that we work together. So we sit down with you, try to understand your life, what you do daily, how does your work also affect how you want to look every day. So we sit down with you with that, and then we give you advices on, oh, maybe you should try this. Oh, you don't like pants? Maybe you should try like baggy pants now. Can we try that? So that's how you should actually start, especially as a lady. It's not always about wearing weave or heels, but it's how comfortable you feel when you are wearing certain things, because you need to wear it. It must not wear you.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So, because some other people fail on that one.
Yes. And you'll be able to obviously help me with color schemes to bring out my complexion.
Yes. What colors work with your skin?
Yes.
Which colors you shouldn't run from? Which colors you should try to take risk with? Like such things.
What are the timeless fabrics? All of that information that we don't have as ordinary citizens.
Yes.
I like this. I like where this is going.
Like, for example, I'll give with the lady Lekhuleni Modise, the CEO and founder of Basadi Music Award.
Fabulous
This is
woman.
the first time where she was wearing something that could show her body, because she was always afraid to do that. But I made her understand that you have a stunning body. Sometimes you just need to show it out. It's not always need to be in ball gowns. It's beautiful sometimes, but sometimes give people something that they're not expecting. So it's one of those things that we also specialize in at LSJ.
Oh, that's beautiful. So the dress that Hloni wore at the awards ceremony.
Both days.
What was you?
It was me.
Unforgettable. I mean, we scroll on social media. I saw a lot of dresses, but her dress was memorable.
Yeah.
You know? Well done, you.
Thank you.
That dress was very memorable. Okay, so listen, we clearly are at iconic level here now. I mean, I thought we were still at authentic level. We are iconic. Okay, speaking to Ronnie Mmatsheko, who is the founder of LSJ Designs. Look, it's clearly moving in a good direction. So we're going to talk about explorations internationally, explorations continentally. Let's take a quick break.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
The United States was very vocal at the beginning of South Africa's G20 presidency, and this is largely due to strained relations with South Africa at the time, that they were not really keen on participating. Where do they stand right now?
The US is planning to take over the presidency of the G20 next year, and our understanding from them is that they intend to continue to do so, and therefore it is quite difficult then to be in a situation where you are not attending deputies' meetings or discussions during our presidency and then to take over the presidency next year. From a finance track perspective, there has been engagement. We've been working on a communique last week and this week here in Zimbabwe. What's important about that is that it's a consensus document. And so all the members in the room have to agree to the language that is used there. And our US colleagues have been part of those discussions and negotiations.
Bringing the African markets into your home. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks for staying with us. We are wrapping up our conversation with Ronnie. He is just an extraordinary, bold fashion designer from South Africa. And we've literally, you've given us a good part of your history, where you are now, the ready to wear, which is so, so exciting. So let's talk about just your moves. I mean, you were talking about relevance a bit earlier in terms of how you feel artists, particularly in fashion, should be moving with the times, and how they should approach things, and don't be too precious about one work. Keep it moving, explore, open yourself up. So with that thinking, are you thinking international? Are you thinking continental? Where are you in that space?
Definitely, I'm thinking international. My everyday motivation whenever I make a dress, it's what will Beyonce say if she sees it. It's how I create my garments. If one day, if I ever have to, if she ever mistakenly...
What a big question. What will Beyonce think
of this dress? If she sees it, will she want to reach out? Would she want to know who made the dress? Or is it just going to be another flip of, okay, no, that's a dress, and then they pass over? So it's whenever I make a dress, I go with that. I definitely want to be international. That's one of my biggest dreams.
Right.
And I did work with a few people up there, and I was also invited twice at New York Fashion Week, but financially, unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But I believe I will definitely get there one day. So I think such things keeps reminding me that that's where I'm intend to be going, and that's what I was born for.
Yeah, no, the path is definitely paved. That call to the New York runway is a whisper that it's coming. It's coming. Yes. And you are obviously a very powerful manifester, just judging by what you've already achieved, but you're not just manifesting out of thin air. You're actually working towards your dream. So thank you so much for sharing yourself with us.
Thank you
and
so
the
much
African
for having
continent. I really appreciate it, and it was wonderful to meet you.
Thank you. It was really nice to meet you too.
Thank you very much. Just that website again quickly before you go, so we can ready to wear. Wabona, summer
summer
is coming in the
and
southern
there's a collection
hemisphere.
also coming very soon.
Brilliant.
On the 10th of September.
Okay.
I'll be bringing the new collection that I'll be collaborating with one of the best stylists in the country. The website is lsjdesigns.com.
Okay.
Easy to go in, easy to get everything there. You can even book a consultation if you don't just want to buy things that are there. Maybe you want something custom made. There is a way that you can actually book a consultation with us, and then we'll reach out back to you.
Okay, and it's right there in your face. Get something made just for you.
Yes.
Click. Simple. Huh? Done and dusted. Ronnie, thank you very much, and best wishes for the spring-summer launch.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is us saying goodbye to Ronnie and making way for what's to come. Africa in Business with Tami Ngubeni. She's standing by to fill us in on what the Thursday edition looks like, because listen, Africa is always in business, okay? Monday to Friday and beyond. So we're going to find out what today's show is all about before we, of course, we're going to take the news bulletin first and then get into the show. But she is here. Hello, Madame. Mademoiselle.
Madame, darling, Madame. Bonjour. 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 An exciting day once again in the world of business. And as you know, and as you remember, infrastructure has really been the key focus for so many who are focusing on financing and development on the African continent, including the G20. It is Thursday, so we have our simulcast with SAFM and Ashraf Garda that comes up just after 4 o'clock. And today we'll be looking at the G20 infrastructure funding. The National Treasury and the African Development Bank are jointly supporting cross-border infrastructure in Africa through Legacy Initiative, the Ubuntu Approach. I know you already love that title, the Ubuntu Approach, and you're asking, what is that?
You know me. You know me.
Well, not to disappoint. That's coming up at 4:15. And also the summit that's being held between the Botswana High Commission to South Africa in collaboration with the SA Chamber of Commerce UK, set to host the Botswana Agriculture and Mining Sector Focus Seminar that's happening in the Limpopo province. So we'll be talking this afternoon to the Director of International Business at the Botswana Investment and Trade Center, South Africa. And it is Thursday, so you know what we do? We bring you the C-suite, the corner offices with the view. And today we are focusing on a woman who is making strides in a predominantly male-dominated environment. She heads up the finance department at RS South Africa, and they are a provider of industrial and electronic solutions. She is Ayanda Kotobe.
Okay, sounds like a wonderful edition of Africa in Business with Tami Ngubeni just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin. Have a glorious rest of the afternoon. Keep listening to Channel Africa, and The Upside will be back in your company 1 to 4 for the Friday edition. Cheers.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.